Hello everybody, Locher for Life here, bringing us a brand new deck profile. This time around we got Valkyries. So I've been looking forward to doing an update for this deck ever since the new support came out, and it's still a really fun deck, but it's almost there. It's almost there. I feel like just with a couple more cards and a better card design situation with certain cards, this deck could be really, really good. Now that being said, I had to drastically change this because I was really abusing that Brilliant engine in the old build, and with Brilliant Views Unlimited, I don't think it's really worth trying that anymore. And with the new stuff being really good relatively, I really just had to really try and incorporate as much as I could into this deck to make it as good as I could. This current build, I have not had any real consistency issues with. It's been very consistent. I've taken a lot of your guys' opinions to heart, and I've taken a lot of opinions from my friends who have helped me really try and refine this deck to heart as well. So I hope to God that this is like the best version of the deck that I could possibly make at the moment, and I hope you guys like it. So let's get on to this deck profile. So first and foremost, we got triple Valkyrie Drit, or Drite. I'm not sure which way it's pronounced. She's the Stratos of the deck. Whenever she's normal or special summon, you can search out any Valkyrie card except for herself. Pretty self-explanatory. She has crap for stats, 1,000 attack, 1,600 defense. Really wish those were switched, but oh well. But however, she does get 200 more attack for every one of your opponent's banished cards, so that does stack up over time. Next up, we got triple Valkyrie Sexday. This is your other kind of like sort of Rhoda card, like Drite. Whenever she is special summoned, you can special summon any Valkyrie card from your deck. Then also, once per turn, you can mill the top two cards of your opponent's deck. Now, the milling part is really iffy because a lot of decks nowadays are graveyard oriented, so unless you know for a fact that you're going against a deck that is not graveyard oriented, you could go for it. But if you are, like for instance Orchest or Thunder Dragons or freaking Sky Strikers, you know, every best deck of the game right now, don't do it ever. Like, even unless you know what's coming up next, which you would if you played the Goddess cards, but a little spoiler, I stopped playing the Goddess cards. Finally. But the big thing is that Sexday does let you special summon any Valkyrie from your deck except for a copy of herself, obviously, because that could result in some shenanigans, but I digress. So you mainly are going to be summoning the boss monsters off of her, or the level 5 or 6. Overall, great card. Next up, we got Triple Honest, because despite being an OTK deck, this deck does have rather lacking, is that the best word, attack power. So basically, Honest lets you get over most everything and just lets you help clear the board. Speaking of cards that help get around the lacking of attack power, we got Valkyrie Urda, the new boss monster for the archetype, who combos really well with the old one, Brunhild. So Urda, you can only control one of her, and while she's on the field and was special summoned by the effect of a Valkyrie monster, or sorry, Valkyrie card, all monsters your opponent controls lose 1,000 attack power. In addition, any monster that is destroyed by a battle or card effect of a Valkyrie card, any card that is destroyed by battle or card effect that your opponent controls is banished instead. So the wording on it also seems to make me think that if they destroy their own stuff with their card effects, like for instance like Giant Dragonic Diagram or something, it will get banished as well, which is hilarious. This card is basically a one-sided macro, for monsters at least, and also drops everything by 1,000, and it's just such a wonderful card. I only wish her stats were a bit better. She is a 2k attacker, but however, with some of the other new support and with her own effect, you can kind of get around that. Moving on, we got two Valkyrie Brunhild, the deck's old boss monster, and she's still worth playing. She's a level 8 as well, 1,800 attack, 2,000 defense. She gains 500 attack for every monster your opponent controls, and if your opponent declares an attack on a Valkyrie monster, you can have her lose exactly 1,000 defense to basically make it so that all your Valkyries that turn cannot be destroyed by battle. Very obnoxious card, helps protect your monsters, and can get super beefy, although she does drop as you go along killing things. So very, very handy card overall. Next up, I got two Valkyrie Vierite. I won't lie, I've been very tempted to bump her up to 3, but however, I feel like 2's been working pretty well for me. Vierite is a level 3 with 1,400 attack and defense, and basically once per turn you can excavate the top cards of your deck and equal the number of other Valkyries you control with different names. Add one normal spell or trap card from amongst them to your hand and then send the rest to the graveyard. And then if she's destroyed by battle, you get to special summon any Valkyrie from your deck. That's after a copy of herself. So she gets destroyed in battle, you summon a Sex Day effect, special summon out like Urda or Brunhild. Very, very handy card overall. I really do wish you could add any like Valkyrie card or something amongst those cards that you reveal. But being able to add any normal spell or trap card is also pretty handy as well. Especially since it's any, so you can like add a Monster Born or something. Next up we got 2 Valkyrie Funf. This card has 2 effects, and one's rather good, the other not so much. I won't lie, depending on what to get in the next wave of support. If they are getting more support, she's very liable to get cut. So Valkyrie Funf has 2 effects. The first of which is all Valkyries you control gain 200 attack times the number of banished cards that your opponent has, which is pretty handy. It is basically a Drite, but makes it for everybody, which is really useful for the OTK deck, but again, you just don't summon her enough, and she's not good enough to warrant it a lot at a time. She is really good in combination with like Ride of the Valkyries and everything, but you don't typically have a handful of Valkyries plus Ride to be able to go off like that. Additionally, so you can once per turn just send any spell or trap card from your deck to your graveyard. Now, you could do some cheeky stuff like sending a breakthrough skill or a Ride of the Valkyrie to be able to search and stuff, and that's the main thing, is sending Ride to search out Mischief, which is really nice. But, however, it just doesn't come up enough to where you really, really need it. You know, because typically speaking, you want to activate the Ride so you can just summon out your whole hand and then go for game. So it really, it's a very interesting card, and I'm interested to see what kind of spells and traps people are playing to mill off of her. But however, right now I don't think she's really particularly worth playing more than 2 of, especially since the deck actually only cares about having 1 spell in your graveyard, and that is, of course, good old Ride, so you can search out Mischief. Next up, for the non-archetypal Valkyries, I have, well, for the non-archetypal monsters, other than Honest, I have 2 Archlord Christia. This card is a really good, like, finisher for your combo. So you go for your game, you don't get to finish game, so then you just summon out Christia and laugh as your opponent can't do anything without a spell or trap card to get rid of it. This card is really obnoxious. Basically, if you have exactly 4 fairies in your graveyard, you can just special summon Christia from your hand. And while he's on the field, neither player can special summon monsters, and if he dies, he goes on top of your deck so you can summon him again. It's a really, really handy card overall. Very, very powerful, very annoying for decks, has a whopping 2800 attack power, and then if you have him backed with an Honest, it's even more insane. Absolutely phenomenal card, very annoying for your opponent. And then we got 1 Valkyrie Erst and 1 Valkyrie Zweit. And these 2 cards are by far the worst of the Valkyries, but you still need to play 1 of each because they do have their uses. With Zweit being able to just pop a monster if it's summoned, and then also add a continuous spell from your graveyard whenever it battles. And then Erst being able to add a continuous spell if it's summoned from the hand by the spell effect, which is pretty nice for being able to get back your Hall of the Fallen. And also being able to just quick banish any monster from your opponent's graveyard as a sort of DD Crow-esque card. Very good cards overall, but they are, I feel, objectively the worst, mostly because these feel like they should be level 4 monsters. They have crap for stats, and honestly, their effects don't warrant being a 5 and a 6. I really wish they would have been a 4, like 2 level 4s or something, and then I would feel more like I could play more than 1, because they, right now as they are dead draws a lot of the time. They really are, and it's annoying. Moving on, we got triple Called by the Grave. So, this card single-handedly saves this deck a lot of times. Hand traps will destroy Valkyries. You try to do anything, oh, here comes an Ash Blossom, you can't play a game anymore, so you gotta play counters to hand traps. If you don't, you get destroyed by them so incredibly easily. Next up, we got triple Valhalla Hall of the Fallen. It's just a once per turn free special summon, can trigger their effects, and of course this gets you more monsters on the field. Then we got triple Ride. This is literally a mass Valhalla. Just summon as many Valkyries as possible with different names from your hand, and then they are shuffled to the deck at the end phase. But however, if you banish it from your graveyard, you can search out Mischief of the Time Goddess. And Mischief the Time Goddess skips to the next battle phase. At the end of the battle phase, provided all of your monsters are Valkyries. It's a very, very mean card. It is treated as a new turn, so it skips the previous turn's end phase, so your Valkyries won't get shuffled back. And also, of course, takes you straight to the battle phase to go for game, hopefully. And, of course, if you have any traps, you can activate them again. Well, you can activate them right then because, hey, it's a new turn, which also includes the once per turn effects are now live again. It's a really good, cheeky card. And the only reason you play 2 Mischief is because it is easily searchable off of Ride, and also this deck has a myriad of ways of recurring it thanks to like Earths and stuff. Moving on, we got 2 Valkyrie's Embrace. If this card was a quick effect, it'd be amazing. And I thought it was a quick play, but it wasn't, and I'm still mad about it not being a quick play. So this card, you target one of your face-up attack position Valkyries, you switch it to defense, and banish one of your opponent's monsters. That's literally it. I mean, you gotta have all Valkyries on the field, but I digress. Just being able to banish anything for switching one of your Valkyries with low attack into defense. Okay, I'm going to switch Sex State to attack mode. To activate this, switch her back to defense, banish your monster. Pretty good. Just generic monster removal. Then we got 2 Final Light. This card is a archetypal soul charge for the archetype, letting you special summon as many Valkyries from your graveyard as possible. Then your opponent can special summon as many monsters from their graveyard with 2,000 or less attack power from their graveyard as possible, equal to the number of Valkyries you special summoned. Additionally, you lose life points equal to the number of monsters you special summoned off of its effects, like you do with good old soul charge. And yeah, just an overall great card, and ideally with all the graveyard manipulation you won't be worrying about any of your opponent's monsters being summoned off of its effects. Next up, I got 1 Monster Reborn. Kind of goes self-explanatory. This deck wants to summon as much as possible from the graveyard, or just special summon in general. 1 for 1 because Sex Day is a level 1 and that triggers her effect. And then finally, I took a page out of the Tower Knight builds, and I'm playing 2 Call of the Haunted, because this card just lets me bring out any of my Valkyries during my opponent's turn. So like if I have, I believe it's Zwite in my graveyard, and my opponent tries to summon a monster, or has a monster on the field that I don't like, I can activate Call of the Haunted, bring out Zwite, use her effect, pop my opponent's monster, or if like I have a Sex Day in the graveyard, do the same thing, but bring out Sex Day effect, special Zwite from deck, go for pop. And then of course also I can trigger other stuff, and just really be an annoying card overall. Absolutely phenomenal card for this deck, and I'm genuinely considering bumping it up to 3. Now for the X-Deck. Now I'm going to be 100% honest. The X-Deck does not matter, okay? It really does not, okay? So many of the Valkyrie cards require you to have only Valkyries on the field. And so you generally don't want to summon non-Valkyries too often, and that's why I even said that Arts with Christia is more of a board ender after you do everything else, because then you don't have to worry about him blocking off you being able to do anything. That being said, same applies to the X-Deck. You generally don't use it too often because it just gets in the way of your Valkyrie stuff. Ride can't be activated if you control non-Valkyries. Neither can Mischief. Neither can Valkyrie's Embrace. This deck is super restrictive on making sure that you cannot mix it with other archetypes, and that is very, very annoying. I really hope that this deck gets an awesome boss monster in the X-Deck sometime, because that would be great. Now, with that being said, if you have the money for it, Pot of Extravagance is an amazing card for this deck. If I had, it's what, they're $77 now. If I had $247 or so to chug out for a playset, I would for this deck, along with my Witchcrafters, but I digress. So, but I don't have that kind of money, and if you do, give it a try. Extravagance is amazing in this deck. It really does help out a lot, especially since you don't care about your deck. So, now that being said, these are the cards that I do play on the odd occasion that I do need to go in the X-Deck. Good old Link Kuriboh, because Sex Day is a level 1, and just being able to make Link Kuriboh is great. 1 Hip Hoppo Shingen for being able to just get attack buffs. 1 Nightmare Cerberus for popping. 1 Nightmare Phoenix for popping. 1 Nightmare Unicorn for popping. 1 Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax as a Suedo boss monster. 1 Boros Slow Dragon for the same purpose. 1 Sylvan Princess Sprite, because I won't lie, you do get a lot of Sex Days out on the field a lot of times. 1 Abyss Dweller for just being annoying, 1 Fairy Cheer Girl for extra draw power, because why not, 1 Gestel for general spot removal, 1 Baguska for being annoying, 1 number 101 for more spot removal, 1 Utopia just to make his big brother so you can go for more damage. That's it. You can do whatever you want in the extra deck. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You can have 15 Fusionists and it won't matter. But, well, you wouldn't be able to do that in a tournament, but I digress. What are you doing taking Valkyries to a tournament? But, yeah, this is still a fun deck. I really do like Valkyries a lot. This deck, I feel, has a lot of potential if Konami actually wants to break it. Like, it's there. It's almost there. They just need a little bit more. I don't know what other than draw power and some way to disrupt what your opponent is doing on the field during their turn, because it just doesn't have any really good disruption. Apples of Enlightenment is a really nice card for getting rid of a lot of cards in your opponent's graveyard, but it doesn't do anything to their field. I really like Lotus Flame, but it's not searchable, so it's really, really obnoxious having to try and rely on hard drawing that. And yeah. So what do you guys think of Valkyries? Thank you for watching. Have a great day. If you have any ideas or comments or concerns about this deck, please leave your comments down below. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for liking the video, and have a wonderful day, and happy birthday if it's your birthday. Wow, I gotta somehow condense all my outro into something a little bit shorter. Thank you for watching.